Ford O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3, online, espnevansville.com. Kevin Bowen, Colts.com, featured writer. Find him on Twitter as well for all your up-to-the-date Colts information at kbowencolts. Joins us now on the Menard Studio Hotline, as he does every week at this time, to talk all things Colts. Kevin, how are we doing today?
Doing good, guys. How are you?
We're doing well.
Good.
2-2. Hey, huh? Yeah, we're good. We're good there.
Some way, somehow, right?
That's right. Some way,
into the quarter full, so that record that the Colts were last year at this time.
Squeaked two out. You mentioned that. From your perspective, where they're at now compared to last year at this time, again, we're almost the same thing. The differences between that season and this one for you as somebody who's with the team and talks to these players and coaches, and the forecast, how do they feel moving forward, even though they're in the same predicament as they were last year?
I think it's vastly different just because of the injury at the quarterback position, and it's not something that Colts fans are used to really at all. I mean, you think about the past 15, 20 years, really, the Colts haven't faced a week-to-week uncertainty that they're currently facing right now with their quarterbacks. So I think that is the biggest difference. And at the same time, you just haven't had the same offensive success that you did last year after starting 0-2. You started 0-2, then you went down to Jacksonville last year. I want to say scored 41 points, came back, beat Tennessee, and scored like 44 points. So you were able to get on a winning streak, but you were doing it, putting up just very impressive offensive numbers, whereas the past 2 weeks you've had to rely on your defense at key times. Your offense played well in the fourth quarter down there in Tennessee, but I think you'd say that your defense probably bailed you out in both those wins. So 2-2 is 2-2, but I think it's definitely a different feel from where it was this time last year.
Yeah, and that's the discussion we had yesterday. I said, they're this close to being an 0-4 team. I mean, quite honestly, had it not been for the Jacksonville kicker yesterday or on Sunday, who was I would have given him the MVP nod for the Colts for that game, just because he misses those 2 field goals, well, 3 honestly. But it feels different because, like you said, they got off to a slow start, but then they go and rattle off 2 big wins, and it seemed like they got everything right, and they were putting up big points, and now it's like they're just scraping by to get these wins. And the luck situation makes a world of difference as well. Now, speaking of that, all these different reports, it's there's a partial separation of the shoulder. Pagano says, nope, last I heard it was just a sore shoulder, it's a bruise. What's the latest that you're getting from the team and his likelihood of playing on Thursday?
I think the biggest difference right now from this week compared to last week is you got to look at the roster itself. And there's only 2 quarterbacks on the active roster. And we're 48, 52 hours away from kickoff. And last week you had 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, really starting, I guess, Josh Johnson was brought in, I want to say it was Thursday night and signed Friday morning. So I think that's the biggest indicator that Andrew Luck is at least going to dress Thursday. And if he dresses, he's probably going to play. So I think that is the biggest difference. The Colts are pretty much saying the same things that they said last week. And from a media standpoint and what we're allowed to see at practice, yes, Andrew Luck threw a couple dump passes in the walkthrough yesterday, which is something that we didn't see last week. But, we aren't really privy to anything at practice in terms of him actually throwing the football. So Chuck Pagano said Andrew Luck did throw today. Matt Hasselbeck was sick. He did not practice. He was in the locker room, though, talked to the media. Hasselbeck said he will be ready to go on Thursday, whatever role that is, whether that's having an earpiece in his ear, holding the clipboard, or if that's being under center. So I think at this point right now, the biggest difference from last week that is an indicator to me that Andrew Luck is at least going to dress is there are only 2 quarterbacks on the active roster, meaning last week you had 3. You were able to have Andrew Luck inactive, and Josh Johnson was your backup. Josh Johnson was released on Monday, so he's no longer with the team.
Who is a lot of times on teams, if you only carry 2 active, which a lot do, there's somebody, a punter, a wide receiver, somebody that can be an instant QB3. Who is that for the Colts?
I laugh because I'm afraid it's Pat McAfee, which, if that personality was under center for a game, I can only imagine what type of plays we would see, what type of celebrations we would see. It'd be entertaining, to say the least. And he is a tremendous athlete. He threw a great ball last year down in Dallas off a fake punt. We saw his fake punt run in Tennessee earlier this year. I know he throws balls to wideouts during practice often. The other guy that has taken snaps with a third string center, you usually see those during warm-ups on game day, is Griff Whalen. And Griff Whalen obviously knows the roster very well. I know knows his offense very well. He's a guy that we have talked about in the past. Probably knows the offense just about as well as Andrew Luck. So if it came down to that, which I guess you're 2 plays away really every week when you think about it, Griff Whalen or Pat McAfee would likely be the guy, and I know the fans would love to see McAfee under center.
I was going to say, I don't want to see it happen, but just maybe for a couple plays. I'd just like to watch
60
it.
to nothing, Colts are up. Let him have
just
fun.
I'm thinking like maybe a little equipment issue for the backup quarterback, so then McAfee's got to go in there. Just to see him scramble to get his helmet would be a sight to see. So we'll see if that's in the cards on Thursday night.
Kevin Bowen, our guest, Colts.com featured writer. You can find him on Twitter. KBowen Colts is where you will find him. Let me ask you this, Kevin. Knowing what's on the horizon for this team, past the Thursday night game, they've got the 10-day window, and then the Patriots come to town. From your perspective, should they start Andrew Luck on Thursday, even if he's healthy enough? I feel like maybe you take that chance of sitting him and giving him that extra rest because you know what's on the horizon.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this in my mind really all week and thought about it before the Jacksonville game as well. And you mentioned the Patriots 10 days after Thursday night's game, but think about after the Patriots. You play 4 of your next 5 against undefeated teams currently right now. You've got Denver, you've got Atlanta, you've got Carolina coming up. You've got a Saints team that with Drew Brees is a totally different team than they are without him, obviously. So the schedule gets, definitely tougher once you get through this game on Thursday night. But then at the same time, playing devil's advocate a little bit, that means Thursday night's game is that much more important because it's a division game. It's on the road. If you win it, you seize early control in the AFC South. If you lose it, now you're 2-3 with that 10-day break, and then you have all those teams that we just mentioned coming up. So I think that's where you got to play both sides of it. Obviously, Houston's defense is known for getting after the quarterback and have some guys that have done an exceptional job of that in their NFL career. So I can see both sides to it. Andrew Luck is the competitor that he is. You know, that's his hometown. He's got family there at that game. There's no way he wants to sit out and just watching the TV copy on Sunday and see how into the game he was. I mean, if he's healthy, Andrew Luck's going to be under center on Thursday night.
Tell us a little bit what you know, some other injuries going on. Vontae Davis, Frank Gore's dealing with a foot problem, apparently, to go along with the fact that his hands can't hold on to a football, which is the other problem he has. That was a burn, and I had to throw that one in there. Henry Anderson, Kendall Langford, Jarrell Freeman, where are we at with? And Freeman's a big, if he's out, leading tackler, not just this season, but for the last couple of seasons. What's the status on a few of these guys here?
Right, and it is a long list, and that's what happens when you practice on a short week. And I should say that these practices are very abbreviated. I mean, we're talking walkthrough-like practices, not even in helmets, really, because, the team boards a plane in less than 24 hours to go down to Houston. There were 6 starters from Sunday that did not practice today. Mentioned Hasselbeck earlier. He was sick. He's expected to be ready for Thursday. Jaleel Brown didn't practice. Sounds like he's week to week, but you are going to get Greg Toller back this week, so he should start opposite Vontae Davis. Vontae was out of his boot. Henry Anderson was out of his boot as well. I would assume both those guys played. They haven't practiced all this week, so we won't really know. I think those 2 are 2 game-time decisions, and it goes without saying how critical those 2 guys are to being out there on Thursday against Houston. Jarrell Freeman did not practice with that groin injury. He only played 3 snaps on Sunday, and I thought Josh McNary did a better job in there filling in for him. But again, Freeman is huge, especially when Houston wants to pound the ball there in Foster. Kendall Langford was back at practice. He was a full go today. It's a long list. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Dwayne Allen sounds like he'll be back in the lineup on Thursday night. Frank Gore did practice today. I think the big ones to watch for outside of Andrew Luck going into Thursday, I think, are Jarrell Freeman, Henry Anderson, Vontae Davis. So all 3 in every level of the defense. And the Davis one especially to me because you look at Houston, DeAndre Hopkins, their star wideout. He leads the league in targets this year. He's been targeted 61 times. That's 9 more than any other player in the NFL. That's a pretty incredible number for 4 games. That's, on average, more than 15 targets a game. So I think Vontae Davis, if healthy, will be back in that shadow role, and it'll be nice for the Colts defense then to have Greg Toller opposite him for the first time since week 2 of the preseason.
There's been a lot of injuries this season. There was a lot. They dealt with a rash of injuries last season as well. Is there something you can put your finger on that is the result of this? Is it something to do with the limited practices they're allowed in the offseason under the new CBA? Is it just dumb luck or bad luck, whatever you want to call it? Is there something that you could look at and go, maybe this is what's causing some of these injury issues?
I mean, not really, because it's a variety of injuries. And honestly, they have been relatively healthy here the first couple of games of the season. I mean, I really think only 1 to 2 guys have been ruled out each week. When you look at Jacksonville, they had all 7 inactives ruled out on Friday in the first 3 games of the season. And then last week, I think they had 5 of their 7 guys ruled out. So, this is a league-wide problem, injuries. The Colts, had Arthur Jones, obviously, early on. A little bit banged up running backs with Vic Ballard and Boom Herron as well. But for the most part, they've stayed away from the injuries until recently with the Luck injury. And then every week when you play on a Thursday night, these are injuries that I don't think many of them would even appear on an injury report because, again, Tuesday is normally your off day. And today it was the final real practice of the week. So usually this is just a totally different week from a abbreviated work standpoint. Everything is so condensed when you play on a Thursday night. So the injury reports, I think, for a Thursday night game look just so different than what they would normally look like on a normal week.
Well, we'll be watching, of course, Thursday night. Colts will be down in Houston to take on the Texans. Hopefully they can make it 3 in a row and 3 straight into the division, which will be huge. And then some time to rest up, get ready for New England a week from Sunday. Kevin Bowen, Colts.com featured writer. Find him on Twitter, KBowenColts. As always, a pleasure, Kevin. Look forward to talking to you every Tuesday. We'll do it again next week.
Can't wait, guys. Thank you.